chasing that dream ever since. It's just a dream.
Our very own Peter Schrager released his final mock. The Giants have 2 picks in the top 10, and Schrager has them selecting Arvell Reese and Jordan Tyson. He is the Cowboys trading up to the 9th pick in a mock trade with the Chiefs. Now, the Giants have missed the playoffs 3 straight years. The Cowboys have missed the postseason the last 2 years. So who needs to nail that first-round pick or picks more? Is it the Giants or the Cowboys, Doggy?
Oh, it's definitely the Giants because they made the big trade for Dexter Lawrence. So if you trade Dexter Lawrence and you trade him to Cincinnati and you get the 10th pick, you got to get both picks right. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Plus, you got Harbaugh there with Shane. It's a collaborative effort, but Harbaugh is going to be the guy that's going to have to answer to it because we all know he's the final say. I definitely think it's the Giants. They have to come up with 2 good players. You want to go 1 offense, 1 defense? Go ahead. You want to trade down? They don't have a pick between 37 and 105. You want to trade one of those off to get a pick in the 3rd round? Go ahead and do it. But to me, as a sports fan looking at this, and I don't like the Giants or Jets, so I could care less, but the Jets and Giants have 4 of the top 16 picks in this draft. 4 of the top 16. And the Jets with the 2nd pick, they can't get a quarterback. We can give the Jets a little break. Giants have to nail it. They got the quarterback. Do they draft a running back at 5 with Love? Do they draft a receiver? Do they draft a couple defensive guys? Cowboys are down a little bit in the draft. They don't need as much. Giants must ace this draft as far as the
Giants control the top of the draft because they got 2 picks in the top 10. And I keep looking at it when you look at Jim Harbaugh and what it is he won with in Baltimore. Great defense. What about styles and downs? If you can John Harbaugh. Did I say okay. Jim? John, what he won with in Baltimore, why not do something that he is already familiar with walking in day one, having that kind of defensive presence and those kinds of stars you put on the field and let that go. Let that be your strength. I mean, the Cowboys, how'd the Cowboys get involved here? The Cowboys.
Well, in the mock draft, Schrager says
he was in pain, so he just wants to take this out on the Cowboys. The Cowboys are irrelevant. They're no more relevant than any of the other, 28 teams. Mm-hmm. The Giants are relevant because they've got 2 of the top 10 picks.
Well, I agree with y'all about the Giants, but I will say this. The primary reason I agree with you is because you let Dexter Lawrence get away.
Yes.
Right? And you traded him for a top 10 pick. You've got to make that count. You're absolutely right, Doggy. You got to make that count. You sit up there and you let go of that dude, even though he didn't have the greatest year last year, only a half a sack and 33 tackles, which were both career lows in his first 6 years in the NFL. The bottom line is that we all know him to be a stud. His teammates certainly didn't want to lose him. You got a new coach that came in there in John Harbaugh, and you know good and damn well that if John Harbaugh wanted to keep him, he would have been there. Now, because of contract issues that he didn't want to keep him, but you know if John Harbaugh wanted to keep him, he would have been there. So the fact that they let him wanted to keep him, he would have been there. So the fact that they let him walk out the door, even if it's for the 10th overall pick, is basically John Harbaugh saying, this is my team now. This is the way we're going to do things. And all of those players around him are going to have to capitulate. And he's going to have to buy in. And the reason that's relevant, guys, is because he walked out the door with the belief that he had lost some of the players. Not all of them. You see Likely and others that have come over from Baltimore to the Giants to play for him. So certainly that might be a story that's a bit overblown in all fairness to him. But according to numerous reports, you had players go to Lamar Jackson wanting to talk to John Harbaugh about, dialing it back a little bit and stuff like that, practicing in pads and all of this other stuff and things that he was doing. And he was like, you play, I coach. You understand what I'm saying? It was almost one of those things where it's shut up and play. To Lamar Jackson, that wasn't the wisest thing. So you connect the dots. You saw Steve Bisciotti, the owner, talking about how Lamar Jackson was going to have to be involved in picking the new coach and all of this other stuff. So you heard all of that going on. So with that leading to John Harbaugh being pushed out the door, him landing with the New York Giants, this transpiring in his first year on the job, his first couple of months on the job, certainly he's got to make that work. But I am not going to be averse to talking about the Cowboys here.
I know.
You've got the 12th pick and the 20th pick in the NFL draft. People are saying you got an opportunity to move up for one of those cats out of Ohio State, especially Sonny Styles, okay, with what we heard that he did at the scouting combine. Now, you've got Rashawn Gary there now. You made some moves with Quentin Williams and others before the trading deadline expired. You're supposed to approve that defense, which was straight garbage. We know what you could do offensively. There's been no progress with George Pickens and his contract situation. Are you going to draft a wideout? You gonna stick with your defense, which was porous, and you're gonna go out there.
Stunk.
Exactly. So you gotta prioritize defense, right? But what is Jerry Jones going to do? We don't know, and that's what makes it intriguing. Because could they be foolish enough to go out there and draft a wide receiver just so they don't have to pay a George Pickens, other than knowing that you already franchise tagged him, recognizing that level of friction could invade the locker room and derail it, because there's always a black cat running around that franchise. I keep telling y'all, there's always something. Just wait for it. Be patient. Don't get overblown when they have success early. Just wait for it. They will not let me down. They will mess up. Trust me. And it could start with draft night tomorrow night.
And I am not going to go crazy on Dexter Lawrence. He signed a contract 2 years ago. He loved it. He was the second or third highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL. All of a sudden, that contract is up. He comes off a bad year, and now that contract doesn't count. And so he wants to bail out and bail on the contract. I would have gotten rid of him, too, to be honest with you. We saw the same. Parsons, Packers, gets hurt. Disaster. Obviously, we saw the Hendrickson. He had a sit-in. Bad year. Bengals defense was awful. Out. When players sign contracts and then the guarantee is up, and then they realize, hold on now, where's my guarantee money? And then they want to get rid of you and I can't do that. I got a contract here. I can't decide. Ratings are great. Hey, I want to renegotiate.
That's true. We just have to dilute what you're saying, because you'll get rid of somebody for bringing the wrong bagel to work. You would. You get rid of anybody. So it doesn't matter. Dexter Lawrence, anybody. It doesn't matter who the hell it is. You'll get rid of anybody.
You're going to defend Dexter Lawrence?
No. You're damn right I'm going to.
Well, he had a contract, Steven.
I understand. Hey, listen, he talked about what he wanted.
Owners don't live by the
and the owners don't live by it. This is National Football League.
Yeah.
Baseball, basketball, that's different. Not the NFL.
I'd be with you, not the
I keep telling him that. I've been telling him that for years. He won't listen.
They don't live by any contract.
Well, and Dexter
NFL
Lawrence,
doesn't live by
not
contracts.
to pile on, but Dexter Lawrence had his worst career year last year.
Yeah, look, Kevin, historically, the Cowboys do not trade up in the NFL draft. That is just, they do not make big moves. I've got them moving up 3 spots. Let me explain why and why there's thoughts they might be moving up this year. They are desperate for one of the blue chip defensive players. Those blue chip defensive players are David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Mansour Delane. If you sit at 12, there is a very good chance you do not land one of those blue chip players. If you move up a couple spots to 9 with the Chiefs, you can land one of them, whether it be Downs or Delane or even Reuben Bain if you want to put him in that conversation. But there is talk right now around the league that the Cowboys might be a team that's either moving back if they feel like they definitely can't get one of those guys, they want to collect more picks, they don't have a second-round pick, or moving up and taking a big swing. I have heard talk that they might be one of the teams that's moving up all the way to 3 if Arvell Reese is on the board and the Cardinals are willing to trade back. So the Cowboys become a really interesting team in this draft. We're more than 24 hours out. But with the 12 and the 20 and the need for defense and a defensive star, I am keeping an eye on Brian Schottenheimer, Stephen Jones, Will McClay, and of course, Mr. Jerry Jones to see how they are taking this draft and approaching it over the next 24 hours.
Nick, I want your thoughts here specifically on a trade potentially from 12 to 9 and the Chiefs dropping from 9 to 12. Why does this fascinate you?
Well, I mean, I would assume that the reason that the Cowboys would move up is because of what Peter said to get Mansour Delane, the cornerback. The Chiefs, all their cornerbacks are in L.A. now. Like, they need one, too. I'd be surprised if they have Mansour Delane sitting there and they decide to trade back and assume that they can find gold later in the draft like they've done in the past. It's a hard thing to do to play defense without cornerbacks that you trust, especially the way that Spags like to draw it up.
Okay, let's play another scenario out. There's no trade specifically, Nick, and they sit at 12 and 20. Who do you like for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys, Jamar McCoy might slide down. He's a top of the draft type of talent. The injury that kept him off the field last season is the reason why he's sliding and people's concern about him coming back full strength. So they can get a corner that is as talented as Mansour Delane later in the draft and still keep that 20 pick to add to their defensive line.
All right, backstory here. Christian Parker is the new defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, came from the Eagles, and defense is a big story. Which 2 players do you like for the Cowboys at 12 and 20?
He mentioned McCoy. I'll also throw out Akeem Mesidor. He's a guy, edge rusher coming out of Miami, another guy that would fit what the Cowboys need. So if you talk about getting a cornerback and an edge rusher, but I think the conversation to what Straig's point is, do you want 2 very good players, or do you want to possibly trade up, miss out on 2 good players to try to get that one great player if you try to sit back at 12? So to me, that's the conversation when it comes to the Cowboys is, what do they need to be a Super Bowl contender on the defensive side of the ball? Are they just one player away where that guy's going to come up and make a huge impact as soon as he steps foot in the building? Or would you potentially have two starters out there on the defensive side of the ball that probably are making a game and a playoff game to potentially advance you in the next round?
Schrager, go.
The thought is that at some point in this draft, they need a defensive back, they need a pass rusher, and they need an inside linebacker. Those are three different positions. However, they don't have a second-round pick. So you've got to do the math there. And Christian Parker's a 34-year-old firebrand of an offensive coordinator, someone that everyone seems to really like there. This is a big draft. They want to get him the groceries. They want to get him the guys, the Jimmies and Joes, to be able to execute his plan.
All right, let's hit